What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Maxx Crosby, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew. This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
All right, well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining me here today. Lions Talk Live, morning show edition, and you know what? Hey, Maxx Crosby, I don't know if he just does this stuff on purpose, but whatever it is, he's taken to social media once again and started spreading the word that perhaps he is okay with leading the Raiders. And you know what? There are a couple different national media people or podcasts that have ran with this and talked about the Detroit Lions. To be fair, amongst other teams, not just specifically the Detroit Lions. We're going to dive into all that here today. We're going to dive into that. I believe we'll have Ant-Man from Roar Lions UK around the bottom of the hour. I haven't had it confirmed from him, but usually it does come out on Tuesdays. We also got 5 intriguing headlines now. So we'll dive into all that and maybe there's just a little bit more in today's episode of Lions Talk Live, the morning show. It is the off season. We got everything rolling and going. So real quick, before we get into that, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 13,000 subs, and we're like 10 subs away or right around there. So if you can help out with that, that would be most excellent and wonderful. Also, if you have a half second of time, it is, after all, free of charge. Reach on down, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up button, whatever you want to call it, and help the channel out. We try to get every episode between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, if you are considering looking for something to read, perhaps, maybe you just like reading, go to Amazon.com or wherever you find great reading literature and order yourself a copy of Kajora book. It is the first in a 9-part series. The second book comes out later this year. Go ahead and check it out. If you like historical fact based around some fiction, go ahead and check this out. It does have a lot to do with Native American and Japanese cultures, mythology, etc. So it is hopefully a good read for you. And if you enjoy it, don't be afraid to leave a kind review. All right, with all that said and done, let's get this show a rocking and a rolling and a going, and let's head over to the first segment of the day, and that is 5 headlines now. 5 glorious headlines coming at you. And one other thing, I got to put on the bottom of the screen in case you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the United States of America or the continental United States, let alone the state of Michigan. You now see my number on your screen. All right, anyways, 5 things going on here. Rumor, Aaron Glenn planning to target several Lions free agents. SI.com, John Macron of SI on this one. And you know what? It's unfortunate, but you probably knew this was going to happen. Aaron Glenn is very familiar, I think it would be able to be fair to say, with a lot of Lions players. There's going to be some he's going to want to go ahead and bring on over to the Jets because it'll make his job easier implementing his schemes, especially on D. Will there be anyone in particular? Aaron Glenn did say in his presser yesterday that he did want to target some Lions free agents. Now, he didn't say existing players. He did say free agents. One of them in particular, this is a quote from John Macron. One player I'm told Aaron Glenn will target in free agency is linebacker Derek Barnes, the Lions' 4th-round pick out of Purdue in 2021, who will be on the free agent market after completing his rookie contract. So he's one, and I'm guessing there will be others. There is mention, or word I should say, that Carlton Davis III will be a person of interest for Aaron Glenn. And let's also be fair, there will probably be some other people as well. What do you guys think about it? Are you excited about this or are you not? Aaron Glenn coming after some of our guys. Did you think this would happen? I do think it will happen. I also say this. I think Ben Johnson, if there are some free agents he feels he can absorb, especially on the offensive side of things, he's probably coming after him. What are your guys' personal feelings? Hey, Y for yes, you're okay with it, or N for no, you're not okay with it. Let me know in the comment section. I get it's part of the business. I get it's part of things happening that, hey, you like this guy, that guy likes you. You might try to go after him. I'm not a big fan of trying to poach on your former team's players, but we also probably are all aware it's going to happen. So Y for yes, you're okay with it. N for no, you're not. Let me know in the comments section. All right, moving on from that one to the next one. Lions Eye, big move to revamp offense. The heavy story by Jason Llanos with this one. What this one's about, mostly, and it's a good read from the heavy. I think he does pretty good work. John Morton has particular things, like all coaches, certain things they look for, certain things, they want to bring in. While he has not officially, by the way, been signed still, at least not at the time I prepped for this show and got everything ready, I had not seen anything specifically saying he had signed, although it is being reported widely that he is going to sign with the Detroit Lions. But that means he does want to fill in some spots on the team with guys he wants, players that fit his mold, his, brand of offense, etc. It's brought up some questions regarding the offensive line. Now, I still think, my personal opinion, Christian Mahogany is going to be one of your starting offensive linemen, offensive guards. No, it doesn't matter who the coach is going to be. But it does bring up some questions about Kevin Zeitler, just because it is believed that John Morton wants somebody who's going to be more long-term to fit, and somebody who's more agile than what is believed Kevin Zeitler is at this point, because he does want to pull, use offensive linemen in a lot of pulls, a lot of misdirection stuff. So would that be the first big change to hit? We'll have to see. But, hey, ESPN is reporting that it is possible the Lions go in a different direction now if this hire does happen, as far as John Morton as the offensive coordinator, that he will make some adjustments to the offensive line and potentially the number 3 receiver role for the Detroit Lions, just because he wants more speed-based guys. And this, to a certain degree, I understand, especially since you play a lot of games indoors, but this might be the first bit of information to really hit the Detroit Lions that they may be going in some different directions regarding some personnel because of the new hire at OC. Are you guys a fan of that? Myself, I want Kevin Zeitler to stay. So if you want him to stay, let me know in the comment section. Put KZ yes or KZ no, I guess, in the comment section if you want him gone, or here or gone. And then same with Tim Patrick. TP yes, TP no. But it does sound like John Morton, it is, kind of through back channels, whatever, in ESPN, kind of saying that he will be making some changes to a couple personnel's decisions, or be pushing for it, I should say. He won't actually have the authority to make it himself, but he'll be pushing for a couple differences in the offense if he does indeed finalize that contract and become the next OC of the Detroit Lions. All right, Detroit Lions, and not a huge news here, but I did want to get over to you guys. Detroit Lions, Taylor Decker headed to Pro Bowl as a parent injury replacement for Penei Sewell. Story by Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press. I bring this one into the 5 headlines today because a lot of us had some questions about Decker, his ability to play. Should we be looking at replace him? But let this sink in. I know he had some moments, definitely towards about the middle of the season, where he didn't always look the greatest. It seemed like for a quarter or something, he would just fall asleep. In hindsight, is that because of Graham Glasgow and Decker having to try to, help Glasgow more than he should have? Instead of handling his own responsibilities, he felt like he had to do his responsibilities and help Glasgow. I don't know. I guess that would be a deep dive video survey some point in the future. But we can all agree with this. Taylor Decker, in my opinion, probably still has a season or two for the Detroit Lions, basically his new contract, and then they probably have to make a real long look at how he's performing. But the fact that Decker did make the Pro Bowl, think about it this way. Frank Ragnow, is he a Pro Bowl offensive lineman? I think most of us would say yes. Penei Sewell, probably not much question there at all, sort of like with Frank Ragnow. They are 2 elite offensive linemen. Taylor Decker may not be elite, but is he really that far off? I guess that's the question we're all going to have to ask. In my personal opinion, doesn't have to be your opinion, Kevin Zeitler should have been in the Pro Bowl. He should have been one of the top 1 or 2 guards in the league. Now, that's my opinion. I get it because he's 4,000 years old. Some people don't want to give it that title to him. They want to give it to somebody else. But I thought he played at an elite level the vast majority of the past season. Christian Mahogany, in the limited amount of time we've seen him, he played at, I thought, a near elite level. And again, he's a rookie, so I get it. Some people, Hey, he only played in a few games, but check out those games he played. Where I'm going with this is I don't know what the new OC is going to do. Let's assume for now that everybody stays. Check out that depth and that strength and that awareness that everybody else in the NFL is showing the Detroit Lions offensive line. Taylor Decker, Pro Bowler. I think Mahogany will be in the conversation next year for a Pro Bowler if he's not. Frank Ragnow, he's always a perennial Pro Bowler. Kevin Zeitler, you could say, is always a perennial Pro Bowler. And then, Penei Sewell, he's not just all pro, he's all world. That offensive line for Detroit could be nasty next year. All right, next of the 5 headlines now, 4 free agents the Lions need to bring back in 2025. Story by Billy Rossetti of USA Today. And let's go through his list. This isn't my list. This is his list. We've kind of talked about this a little bit in the last few days, but hey, why not? Carlton Davis, I'm okay with it. I would probably, Rossetti is saying Davis essentially played on a 1-year prove-it deal. I think overall he played pretty dang well. To me, with Carlton Davis, I know we've talked about it on the show before, but I think if you're going to let Iffy Melifano go, then you need to resign Carlton Davis. If you're going to let Carlton Davis go, you need to bring back Iffy. I do think if it was up to me, and it's not, Carlton Davis would no longer be the exclusive outside corner on one side of the field or the other. He would become the swing corner / safety, sort of like Iffy, where he plays corner sometimes, he plays safety sometimes. He's great. Well, he's pretty dang good in run defense. He's pretty good in pass defense. He provides you a lot of flexibility. And to be fair, he's played safety and corner for the Bucks before coming over to Detroit. I think it would not be a bad move. Levi Onwuzurike, I've been a big fan of trying to re-sign him, assuming he doesn't get over-the-world price tags thrown his way from other teams. With Aleem McNeil projected to be out for at least part of the start of the regular season next year, I think you're going to need somebody else to step in there next to DJ Reader, Hutch, etc. Levi makes a lot of sense to me. Plus, it continues the Lions' trend of protecting their own. You come here, you're doing the work, we're going to reward you. That's where I would go as well with it. Kevin Zeitler already talked about yesterday, today, etc. But you guys get my thoughts there. Let me know. Out of these 3, who do you want back? Who do you not want back? Throw it in the comment section. And the last would be Kendall Vildor that he has on his list for guys to come back. Vildor I get because he offers you some flexibility. I get some fans, I should say, not all fans, hate him. But he does give you an experienced veteran cornerback coming off the bench who's good at special teams. So those are the 4 that he's got. And to be fair, I'd be okay with all of them. I wouldn't have problems with any of those guys returning. All right, last of the 5 glorious headlines now. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about it. You know what? Somebody did an article on it. Friendly fire injuries for the Detroit Lions 2024 season. This is from the AP Wire. And let's go through it because we all get it. There was a few of them, including the Hutchinson injury, where it was friendly fire injuries that took him out. Also, Amik Robertson, a left humerus fracture. What was it, like the second play of the playoff game? And man, right at that point, I'm guessing a lot of Lions fans started feeling a certain way about that playoff game because it did change 100% what Aaron Glenn wanted to do on defense. And I get there's a lot of fans that go after him about the defense. Hey, man, that defense, there wasn't much left. And Amik was filling in pretty dang well, I'd say, in his in Carlton Davis's stay. But when you'd lost him, the depth at cornerback had just been such eviscerated. You saw the Lions play more and more zone coverage than what they typically do. They did play some man here and there, but it was noticeably different. Alex Anzalone going to the sideline. We all get it. He broke that arm. And again, left forearm fracture, missed 6 games. You can see it on the video where he gets hit by friendly fire and it breaks the arm. Aiden Hutchinson already talked about it. It's unfortunate, but he got the sack on the play. He just, when his leg was whipping around, it just happened to run into the leg of Aleem McNeil and, yes, caused that snap and break. It's unfortunate. Kalia Dorsey, another person, friendly fire. And I don't think these have anything to do with, the field conditions or anything like that. It's just happenstance. Kalia Dorsey defending somebody on a crossing pattern. When his foot comes down, it just happens to land on another teammate's foot, and you won't even worry about watching the replay. You can see it real quick. It gets snapped. Terrion Arnold, right foot contusion. makes a tackle on the Minnesota Vikings during that Week 18 game. And as he's going to the ground, a teammate coming from behind in pursuit just happens to grab his leg, as it hits on his body and pulls him forward. Carlton Davis, he had a similar situation where he ran into another teammate in Dallas and, caused some friendly fire injuries. It wasn't the one with the broken jaw, but it was the injury he had prior. So all these are friendly fire injuries, and not all of them are at Ford Field. I know some fans have brought that up that, hey, maybe there's something going on at Ford Field. But, with Carlton Davis's injury, Hutchinson's injury, those are both in Dallas. The rest of them I do believe happen at Ford Field, but it's not like the field is affecting these things. It's just, hey, teammates helping out in pursuit, wrap up tackles, etc. And unfortunately, teammates are getting hit. How do you fix that? I don't know, man, because you know what? So many of them, at least in my eyes, seem like just bad luck scenarios, situations. I'm not really sure if there's much you can do. All right, so moving on from the 5 glorious headlines now, let's get on over to the main topic of the day. And I know it's one that some fans like, some fans don't. It is what it is. You guys send it over to me. I'm getting rid of it. All right, I'm going to see if I can bring this up on the screen. I know some of you guys, like I said, a bunch of you guys started sending me this yesterday. And the downside of coaching is sometimes I'm not able to get to stuff in faster fashion. All right, so let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I know some of you guys watch this on your phones. Some of you watch it on, TVs or whatever it may be. All right, so Maxx Crosby, undisputed. They will wish they treated you better when times were tough. The fake always expose themselves. To me, this doesn't mean anything, but then again, I get the correlation with the movie Scarface. I also get Maxx Crosby. It felt like last year we kept talking about it before the trade deadline. He kept putting out a cryptic message here, cryptic message there, et cetera, et cetera. And it seems to be starting again where he's doing the same thing. Make your own conclusions with it. Here's what I do know. Last year, before the trade deadline, some of my friends in Detroit media did pass on to me that they became aware the Lions, Brad Holmes, were trying to acquire Maxx Crosby. Yes, some of you threw some mellow yellow in my Mountain Dew trying to say it was BS and everything. But you know what? Dave Burkett came out 2 weeks ago and said he was aware of it. He went on record saying he knew that Brad Holmes and the Lions had had conversations. So either Dave Burkett, who does this for a living, is full of it. But you also had ESPN talk about it, I want to say a couple days after Dave Burkett. So maybe they're playing off Burkett's story, whatever it is. Either way, we can all agree now the Lions did actually try to get Maxx Crosby. And yes, Brad Holmes came out and he didn't mention the player's name, I don't believe, but we all got the reference. He was going and try to work out a deal for Mad Max. So could it be this time that happens? That I don't know. Honestly, I don't care. If they do it, great. If not, they don't do it. What I do find interesting is that Maxx Crosby, after putting out the Scarface reference, goes on a tangent on social media. Good Morning, he's on Good Morning Football, starts talking over the top about, hey, my mom was born, this is a direct quote, by the way, quote, my mom was born, raised in Detroit, my aunts and uncles, I grew up in Michigan, are right down the street. It's incredible to see the city because it's been some long years, Crosby said. And he's talking about the Red Wings, the Lions, the Pistons apparently turning around. Excuse me. The Lions haven't won in a long time, and now you see the Pistons winning. The Red Wings are winning. I have to watch from a distance. Even the Tigers are back to winning. I'm like, quote, damn. Now I'm in Vegas. My whole childhood, it was a rough place. He goes on to talk about a lot of different stuff. He does talk about how apparently when he's on the show, he talks about how he's kind of over the losing ways of the Raiders. And I'm paraphrasing here, so it's not a direct quote. Does talk about he thinks a lot. And here's the big one to me. Think a lot about what it'd be like to be a part of a winner, someone who's in contention all the time. I think about what it'd be like to have stability from a head coach. I'm wondering about if the Raiders can't figure things out here, is it time for me to find the perfect landing spot? End quote. So, I mean, he comes out and says it with that quote that, he's open to the idea of potentially leaving. Now, taking this to a third level here, I don't usually watch the 33rd team. I know a lot of you guys do, but they bring it up. Tyler Brook of the 33rd team puts in their take on things when it comes to Crosby and the Raiders. Tyler, I should say, feels that the Green Bay Packers would be a place of interest for Maxx Crosby, and they would be interested in acquiring Crosby. They surmise that the cost for acquiring him isn't a couple of first-round picks. They list a second-round pick and a third-round pick in exchange for Maxx Crosby. I'm not going to lie. If I'm the Lions, you just got basically a free third-round pick this year. So if, in all realistic, takes, you'd have to give up a second-round pick plus the third-round pick you're getting for Aaron Glenn signing with the Jets to acquire Crosby. As a Lions fan, would you be okay with that? Just go Max yes or Max no or Y or N, whatever you want to put in there for it. We all probably agree the Lions need more pass rush help. I would say this, Crosby, to me, is somebody who would be of interest. What you do with the contract, how do you make it work? You know what? My take on the salary cap, it's there, but it's also something you can massage pretty heavily if you want. I don't know the full details of Crosby's contract. I do know it's a $94 million contract he signed in 2022 with an average salary around $23 million. I want to say, I'm doing the math in my head, so don't hold me to it. It's early in the morning. And no, I haven't had a delicious Mountain Dew yet. But where do you think? Would you basically give up the second and third round pick as the 33rd team is suggesting to acquire him? Or are you okay with him going to potentially the Green Bay Packers? Who knows? The Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, whoever, man. Because I do think all three teams in our division outside Detroit would be interested in acquiring him. It's an arms race in the NFC North. We all get it. We have perhaps the toughest division in all of football. And if he's actually up on the market for sale, I'm guessing all three teams outside Detroit are going to look to acquire him. I also get Brad Holmes loves them draft picks. He's not in a, hey, skip the picks mode. My thought is, and it's just me, I would do it. I take that second and third round pick and say, all right, we'll give you the second and third. You're giving us your sixth and seventh plus Crosby. Have the same amount of picks. Yes, they're different rounds. That first round pick at that point, oh boy, Mike Green, I'm probably drafting him. I like that kid's speed. I really like his explosion. I do not like him as a defensive end. I do like him as a linebacker, though, especially an outside edge backer. Because you put him out there with Hutch, you put him out there with Crosby, you're sending the ends wide. Man, I think you cause a whole lot of havoc. I know a lot of you guys don't like mobile quarterbacks and running quarterbacks. Well, how do you help slow them down? You get faster than them. That's my brilliant coaching philosophy right there. You put guys on the field that are faster, obviously faster than them. You know what? They start looking a lot slower when they're being dragged down in pursuit. All right, guys, we probably have about 7 minutes until I'm assuming Anthony from Lions Roar UK will be on. I don't know if he's going to be on today, though. But what would you do with the Maxx Crosby thing? I get it's going to be we're going to be tied to Maxx Crosby or whoever else this entire offseason. I get some of you guys love talking about this. Some of you don't. I'm in the middle because you know what? If you got him, would it help the team? Sure. Can he fit him in the salary cap? Absolutely. You find a way to do it. Would he give you more athleticism on the outside? I think that's also true. So you would cure a few things here. If my question is, if it really is a second and third round pick and you can procure from the Raiders, even if it's just a sixth or just a seventh, where basically you're only giving up one draft pick for the guy, I'd probably do it. But what do you guys say? Let me know in the comment section. Let's get to the comment section for a few before Anthony may or may not be here again. I haven't have any confirmation from him, and I do know he has to work sometimes. So let me scroll to the top of the screen, see what you guys have to say. But if this all plays out, I know I mentioned it, but I would have Crosby down end linebacker at times. I'd move them all around. And Mike Green, if he's still there at the 28th pick in the first round, I'd be all over that kid. He may not be the biggest guy. And there's another guy I mocked to us in the mock draft I'll have out later this week who's much, much bigger. But if either one of those guys are there, I think it's a big win. I do like Mike Green's athleticism. I just don't think he's as good in the run defense as the guy I typically have taken us in the few mocks I've ran. But we'll get into that in another show. All right, Mike D, greetings, salutations, coach and Duke crew, exclamation points, one pride, woo, and back at you. JDC, morning all, same to you. Jason, Max with an exclamation point. I'm down with that. Moonscar, good morning all, and same to you, my friend. Bo, good morning, Duke crew. I have no questions. Woo! All right, I'll go with that. Jake, here we go again with Max. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at with it, Jake. Yeah, it just is what it is. I do think to a certain degree, Maxx Crosby is playing to the media, playing to the fans, pandering, etc. Do I think he's probably frustrated losing? And that's what I would ask you, Jake, and everybody else. If you're him, and you're 27 now, you probably only have, 3 or 4, maybe if you're real lucky, 5 more elite level seasons in your body before injuries and time catches up to you. So what do you want to do with them? If you don't feel like the Raiders are going anywhere this year or next year, you probably do want out. But, what we'll have to see where this thing unfolds. All right, JDC, give me a homes where the NFC roams, where the Lions and other teams play, where mostly is ahead. Those discouraging words, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Go Lions. I'm down with that, JDC. Trey, Jake, they were talking about this yesterday on the 33rd team. Crosby is up to something. I think so. I think he's pandering to the media. Darcy, there and a few other places were talking about him mentioning in recent months not wanting to rebuild, etc. Trey, yes, I seen that as well. Brent, good morning, Duke Crew. Mad Max sounds like he's tired of losing. Bring him home! ! Oh yeah, I'm down with that. Brent, and I like the thumbnail, by the way. Bo, here I go again on my own, down the only road I've ever known! ! As long as the Lions Tower, oh yeah, I'm down with that. And yes, I get the song reference. Marcus, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew. Crosby trade isn't happening before we resign our players. Once again, he doesn't fit our system and is too small. I know don't hold me to this. I'm going off the top of my noggin here, but I want to say he's like 240, 200, somewhere around that weight. And that's the problem I have with Mike Green too. Both of them I think are strong side linebackers, but not defensive ends. I guess it would come down to, do you think Kelvin Shepard's changing the formula and maybe going more to a 3-4? If he goes to a 3-4, then Mike Green, if he's available to Lions, or Maxx Crosby start making a lot more sense to me. France, Brent, do you blame him? ? He's only seen losing in Las Vegas. Yes, correct with that. Brent, don't blame him a lot. All right, a bit. Sorry. Bo, and the wind cried. Maxie. John, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. This business with him is getting old, but Holmes makes a offer and not a big cost to us. Max must also renegotiate a team-friendly contract. We are holding most of the cards. Yeah, 100%, John. If he really wants out, my anticipation is Crosby's contract is going to probably have to be altered, whether he comes here, Green Bay, San Francisco, or wherever. Member, good morning, all. Same to you. Southwest, good morning, all. I've been a Lions fan for decades. Love this team. MCDC is awesome, but it's just not seeing it on John Morton. He's been an NFL coach for nearly 30 years, but only an OC for 1 year. Correct. And, Goff and MCDC must have some sort of thoughts on him. That's why it appears we're going to sign him. But wait and see, my friend. I mean, at this point, if they sign him, you just have to believe that they know what they're doing by hiring him. Marcus, I'm starting to like Morton hire a little more. He is focused on running the ball a little more than passing. We'll be fine. Yeah, I agree. We've got the tools to satisfy the equation and make this team pretty good, maintain this team's strengths. Southwest, and the 1 year, John Morton was OC. He was fired after 1 year. All I can say is, hey, it doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what you think. It's what the team thinks, and the team appears to be wanting to hire him. So, Silver Server, good morning, Coach and everyone. Back at you, my friend. Can we afford Max? I think we can under current circumstances. It's going to make some things tighter for sure. I'll want to see if he has to renegotiate his contract, if the Lions even go for him. Silver Server, Tanner still passing game coordinator? Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Surfer, he is. I haven't heard any changes to his title. Southwest Line, MCDC deserves Coach of the Year this year because the Lions had a murderer's row schedule and were playing with backups on defense. He had 115 games out of 17. All right. Bo, I believe Todd Bowles took over and went to a different direction. That's why Morton left the Jets. Could be that. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Man Bear, I'm thinking no on Max pass. Okay. Marcus, Southwest Line, he was obsessed with passing, and the players hated his play calling. That was nearly 7 years ago. Hopefully he's matured. Yeah, 100%. He's probably developed, learned from the opportunity there. Marcus, agreed, Man Bear. Southwest, whatever the reason was for him being fired, if he's so great, why would Morton only get to be OC for 1 year? With all good coaches in the league, including the Lions staff, why this guy? Hey, again, my take is you have to believe Goff and MCDC just feel like he's the right fit. It's not like they don't have other options. There's something about him that they feel strong about if they do indeed hire him. All right, guys, it would appear our special guest today is here. So let me head on over and bring on Anthony from Roar Lions UK. Anthony, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, thanks, Dan. Hope you and the Dew crew are all well on this lovely Tuesday.
So there is word, while it's not official yet, John Morton is going to be the next OC, and we're waiting for that deal to obviously get finalized, if it is going to be finalized. What are your thoughts on this, I guess you could say, journeyman coach coming in and taking over the Lions offense?
You know, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here with this. You know, they were able to create a staff out of absolutely nothing when they got here, Brad and Dan. You know, there were a lot of dart throws, but they got guys they knew, who they trusted to come in, and for the most part, the coaching has paid off. And we've seen by the amount of coaches we've lost that we've created one of the best staffs in the league. So again, this is a guy who they are familiar with. Who they know from the past. He's been here before, and you've got to look at the job he's been doing, which is really good. What they've done with Bo Nix there in Denver, which is really promising. And the thing I like, because if you're ever going to levy a criticism against Ben Johnson and what he did here, is sometimes he didn't know when to run the hot hand with the run game, with the passing game. Sometimes got a little bit too creative for his own good, which was the issue there. So now you've got a situation here where Hank is taking over the run game. He's the run game coordinator now. He's dealing with that as he should. He trains the line. And then you've got a passing specialist in as well. So you've got one guy who can focus on each aspect of the game. And then you've got Dan, who has said he's going to get more involved in the play calling and not let his coordinators do what they want to anymore. Dan will implement his overall game plan and, say, well, we need more of this, we need more of that, etc. I like that it's going to be a bit more of a committee approach now than one guy, because hopefully that will yield more positive results for us, especially in these playoff games where you got to get it right or you're out. So I'm going to trust them on this because they've given me no reason to believe that they can't identify the correct staff to come here, because their hit rate's just been so high.
Right. You're like you're alluding to, you see it with the draft picks, you see it with the coaching staff. I mean, they obviously have an eye for talent in both regards. That's why, if they feel he's the right guy, I'm probably all for it because, because their hit rate is so high. But you also brought up a good point that MCDC pointed out or mentioned that he was going to be more hands-on with both the coordinators, just so he's not caught off guard with things. Do you think that's an indictment on what happened against the Commanders that, Dan Campbell is probably aware both guys were getting interviewed heavily, and that maybe they weren't as focused on the details for that game as they should have been?
I think it's just more a case of, he's given them a lot of leeway to be themselves and to do, he doesn't want to get in the way there. But I think sometimes you are the head coach for a reason. You are the top dog for a reason. You've shown you get that. And Dan has play called for us before, and we've done very well when Dan's been calling plays for us before. We did it, after the Anthony Lynn thing and Ben Johnson first got the job here, he was calling plays and the offense was doing well. So I just think it's him taking a little bit more responsibility like he should do. Like the onus should be on him going into the playoff games, and he should be the one who steps up and makes some of these calls, not just leave it to other guys to do for him. Because Aaron Glenn had the same problem as well in that game. Like he just continued to blitz and blitz and blitz and got picked apart, and it was the exact same thing Tampa did and got beaten by. So, I'm not for 1 second saying the coordinators' minds were focused elsewhere. I think it's just about assuming the right amount of responsibility at the right time. He should be in their ears saying, look, this isn't working. Change it up a little bit. Guys, come on. I'm the guy. I'm the boss here. Listen to me, sort of thing. And again, I think that works well in perpetuity. If you're fine with that, as long as you give these guys enough freedom to do what they want, but then sort of rein them in when it's not going so well, I think that's a system that works better than what we've done so far.
So the main topic for today, because of another round of Maxx Crosby social media stuff, him kind of bringing up Detroit a ton, him bringing up, maybe his less than ideal satisfaction with what's happening with the Raiders. I mean, what do you think of this guy? Do you think we should potentially trade for him? Do you think he's a fit here? Do you think Brad Holmes and them will just stick with their draft picks?
I mean, Maxx Crosby will be a fit on any team in the NFL. Like, I don't get this whole, with some guys, they're not going to fit us. Like, they've got the talent, they'll fit, they'll find a way. You find a way to make Maxx Crosby work. You don't fit him in your system. You adapt the system to him. Whether we do it or not, I'm not sure, because we're not exactly flush with draft capital, and you're going to be giving up your top picks to do that. I mean, we've only got the 1 and the 2. Well, we got the comp pick, but you got 3 picks in like near the top 100 at the minute. You really don't want to go away from that, because our model is getting rookies in and building them up and using their rookie contracts to help subsidize the cap. So if you go for him, you are making a shorter window for now. Like you go in for it with him next year, and then you sort of have to try and recoup for the future. So I don't think they will, unless his price comes down, which it may, because obviously the Raiders are under a new regime now. They might want to make a clean break. Obviously, the price is always right for every player. Like Brad says, every player has his price. And if the price is there and it's reasonable, they'll go for it. I just don't think in this case they will. I think you got to go to the draft now. Like, our edge room needs a complete revamp at this point. You've got Hutch, but obviously he's coming off a major injury. Outside of that, a lot of the depth players have been hurt. You're not going to bring Davenport back. Kamish has missed all year. Pascal's still developing and is not a sure thing yet. So, this feels kind of like you do with edge this year, what you did with corner last year, is then you take a few of them and you start from scratch and rebuild that thing up and do it that way, rather than going to get the high-priced vet in, which will cost us a lot.
Now, I know you pay a lot of attention to the college game, so you probably are as perfect a person to ask this question as anybody else. When it comes to the Lions draft, where do you really see them going with things in the first, second, and third round, etc.?
I think you'll see a lot of emphasis on the trenches to begin with. I mean, this is just me. Like, Brad likes players. Brad doesn't care about positional value. Brad's not a traditional GM in that sense. So it's kind of really impossible to say. You need to find the players with the mentality that he likes, and whatever position that'll be whatever position he drafts. Personally, if it's me, as I say, I would go after the trenches. I think you certainly need edge rushers. You've got to figure that's going to be high on the agenda this year. I mean, you could say possibly you can never have too many good DTs, especially you don't know what's happening with Levi just yet. Obviously, this may change. And then on your offensive line, you do need guys for the future at the moment. I mean, we're relying on a lot of day 3 guys potentially who are not quite there yet. And we've got a lot of guys who are on the docket. If Zeitler retires, Pascal's not in the greatest of form. So you would expect both sides of the ball, the trenches, to go there. And then after that, you want to create some more depth for your defense this year. Like, we've seen all the injuries this year. I think you would go out and get quite a few defenders, help supplement your numbers there and replenish a lot of the departments, because we're going to be hurt to start next year as well. So, go hard at it.
So you bring up a point with Kevin Zeitler. We don't know his future. I get the team did have conversations during the regular season about potentially extending him, whether it be a 1-year deal, 2-year deal. The specifics weren't given out. But for now, let's assume that Zeitler does retire. Which do you think becomes the bigger need, defensive end or offensive guard?
I mean, I would say offensive line. That's our bread and butter. That is you want to focus on the strength of your team. No matter how bad the defense is, we can always outscore opponents if we've got the run game and we've got the line to do it. And that's where you're at. And you're lacking depth there as well. So if he retires, like, your depth is really thin. And I know Mahogany's there, and Mahogany should be great, but your job as a GM is not to presume. He's had 2 really good games, but you can't go into next year just thinking he's going to slot in, he's going to get a 90 grade on PFF every week, and he's going to be amazing, and there's going to be no problems with him. You can't think like that. You've always got to keep adding. And Brad says it, like, from his LA days, he was like, well, you can have 3 elite guys at a position. If there's another there in the draft, you draft him, and then you work around it. Like, you just get the talent in the building, and then you work your roster around it afterwards. That's what he does. So, you will go on the line, because we need younger guys on there. We're going to need to draft there. We can't just go free agency all the time. Now, Zeitler was a 1-year deal, preferably for us to get an in-house option ready to replace him, and that's how you want to do it, rather than be spending a lot of money on the line.
So if you were Brad Holmes, you're putting on your general manager cap, you look at the Lions' current crop of free agents. who would you say are maybe the 2 or 3 that the team absolutely needs to target to resign?
I mean, I'd be looking at Barnes and bringing Barnes back. I know there's interest in him elsewhere, but one of the things we struggled greatly with this year was getting pressure on the quarterback. And it wasn't just because the injuries in the edge room, but it was because of the injuries to our better blitzers out of the second 2 levels. Barnes, Iffy, you need guys like that who can offer you a bit more versatility, who can offer you another option to overload opposition offensive lines and get some pressure. So you want to bring Barnes back. He's a homegrown option. You've seen just how good he's been. And dependent on scheme, you would assume Kelvin's going to run something similar to what Aaron did. So you still want that Sam linebacker type here. We don't have any at all. You're going to have to go and draft some guys if you don't bring him back. So I'd bring him back for sure. I'd bring Levi back again because, again, you can't have too much defensive tackle depth on your line. And he's a great story in terms of like what he's come back from. He's a core part of grit culture here. You want to bring him back. I mean, you probably give him a 1-year deal just to show that he can do 2 years in a row without injury and there's nothing withstanding that, and then give him the big bag next year or allow him to go. But give him a competitive deal this year. You would absolutely take him. And then outside of that, I think you bring Carlton back as well because, he is our cornerback 1 and, we still need to bed in Rakestraw next year. He's not played much. You want to integrate him slowly into the team. Hope Terrion takes his next step and then in due course, you can let Carlton go and let the rookies take over. But I still think he's a key part of what we need for now. He's been really good for us and his injury's not going to be, debilitating for him going forward. He'll be fine. So those are the 3 I'd really sort of look at bringing back. And then you got to figure a lot of the injured guys, the undrafted free agent types, are going to end up back on the practice squad or anything anyhow, and a lot of them will get a go over. The only ones I'm not bringing back, and I said this, Brad needs to start getting harsh on the injured players now because we cannot afford to carry injured players on our roster going forward because of how bad the problems have been. Your Emmanuel Mosley's, your Marcus Davenport's, get them out of the building. Sorry, we've invested 3 years nearly now in Mosley and we've got nothing from him. There's hard luck stories and this, sorry, but we need that room for somebody else. Davenport's not finished a season in his career. Sorry, but we need someone at the edge position who's going to give us a chance of being more healthy for the long part. If Kamish is not doing well after his injury because he's been out all year, out the building, get someone else in. We've had to rely on some of these injured players and take some flyers on them because of where we started this build, but where we're at now, we've got to start getting brutal with it because we've seen what happens with an injured roster this year, and we've got to minimize those chances as much as possible that someone's going to get hurt. Obviously, it can happen on any given play, but we can minimize it by getting guys who are generally healthy.
So we have 2 coordinators that have taken off. Obviously, we know Ben Johnson's gone. We know Aaron Glenn's gone, etc. Aaron Glenn has come out yesterday in his presser, said he would be targeting a couple of Detroit Lions free agent players. Who do you think he goes after? And do you think Ben Johnson also tries to bring over some Detroit Lions flavor to the Chicago Bears?
I mean, of course they will. I mean, they've got guys, they have systems they want to play and they've got guys they'll want. I mean, you would assume that Glenn will be after Barnes as well because Glenn likes to play with that type of guy in his linebacker room. So, and he's developed him. Well, Kelvin has, but, you would figure he would be after him. And then with Ben, don't know. I mean, Chicago's already got on paper, it's got a pretty good offense there. Obviously, it'd be the line he'd be targeting, but we've got no real big free agents out in that regard. Whether he tries to convince Seidler to go there for a year, I don't know. Maybe he does. But I can't see anything major from him. I mean, a lot of our free agents, I'd say there's not that many you bring back, like, desperately. So I'm not too worried about any ramifications of them taking those guys. And, of course, we move on. We'll bring new guys in the building. We'll get guys who want to be here, etc. So it's just part of the dance. We'll lose some regardless.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and have you give yourself a shout out there, Anthony? And again, I always want to thank you for coming on the show and giving us your expert opinions and insight. You do a great job as you always have over there at Roar Lions UK. So go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where to find you and your awesome work.
I appreciate you, Dan, and the Jew crew as always. Yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond who love talking about Lions football. So if you want to come and get your news and views from a British perspective, then yeah, just drop in and say hi. We're live on Mondays. I talk college ball on Wednesdays. You know, we usually live during the games, obviously off season now, but yeah, we're around. Come find us and say hi.
One last question for you. If you're the Detroit Lions, you look at the Super Bowl, what do you learn from those two teams?
Pay the refs. No, I'm joking. Run the ball. And just run the ball and be dominant. Play to your strengths, find the opposition's weaknesses, and go home to them. That's what the Chiefs have done. That's what the Eagles did. They just ran the ball down Washington's throat again and again and again, and just pounded away until they're ruthless. And I say sometimes the Lions were a bit too clever for their own good, when sometimes they should just crush the boot down. So yeah, be ruthless. That's what I would take from that.
And real quick, just before you go, I do think that's kind of what DC was talking about being a little bit more hands-on with some of the coordinators. I think just based on how he played as a player and just paying attention to some of his personality traits, I think he wanted to run the ball a lot more. But, Ben Johnson was great what he did here in Detroit. I do think he probably got a little distracted with Chicago and just didn't see the glaringly obvious ability for the Lions to run the ball on Washington. So
yeah, I can get that.
Right. All right, my friend. Thank you, as always, for coming on. Thanks for all you do for Lions fans everywhere. And, hey, we'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you soon. Have a great week, everybody. Toodaloo.
You too, Anthony. All right, Duke Crew, let's get back over to you guys, see what you guys have to say. Verbal Kent, Lions are in the Super Bowl window. If we can add Crosby, question mark, get them. It's our time, exclamation point, go Lions. And I get it. It's the offseason before the draft happens. Heck, man, let's be fair. Until next trade deadline, it's going to be a topic of conversation, whether it's my show, some print media, somewhere, the 33rd team, ESPN, or wherever you go. Maxx Crosby, because he's from here, is going to be a part of a conversation for Detroit. Dale, if Crosby don't break the bank, I'm good with it. Greetings, sanitation, everyone. Back at you. And, the 33rd teams considered asking price of a second and third rounder. I'm not going to lie, it'd probably be pretty tempting to me. And again, me as a GM, you got to give me, a couple late round picks in return. Southwest, Saquon Barkley rushed for 2,000 yards, and he did it with a quarterback who's not as much of a passing threat. Okay, I concur. Nick, I'll be so mad if Brad lets him go to the Packers. Man, it just, to me, it would remind me of the Washington deal, was it 2 seasons ago with Montez Sweat? I know I reported that Washington was looking for a third round pick or something right there, a third and another pick to get Sweat. It does sound like the Lions had conversations with him, but the problem became that the Lions would basically had to have given up their first round pick to supersede the Bears' second round pick. So I think it just comes down to a bidding war. Trump's draft our defense fan. Look what happened to Cleveland when they got Watson. Eesh. Yeah, that, man, the Cleveland Browns really just self-destructed on that. And I get the idea behind Watson going for him. It's just unfortunate timing with everything that came to light. Literally, I want to say within weeks of him getting traded and the deal finalized, and then everything afterwards. Manuel got Max not going anywhere. He's got a Super Bowl winning coach. I'm a USC fan, so I'm always going to say good things about Pete Carroll. We'll see what happens with the Raiders. Mark, if it's the price is right, Crosby would be good. It brings more intensity to the defense. It would, man. And I think, hey, our biggest thing in the NFC North, just starting there, you're going to have to put pressure on the other quarterbacks. You got to get it quick. And if you can do it with 3, 4, 5 guys versus having to send 6 or 7, that secondary starts looking a whole lot better. Johnny Mack, good to see you, my friend. It feels like it's been a hot minute. Greetings, salutations to the Duke crew. Looking forward to how our coaching staff settles. I completely trust MCDC and Brad. Me too, man. Whatever they decide to do and go with, I'm going to assume it's the right one. Ben, what do you got? Hey, Coach Dan, what's the skinny with Monty? Question mark. We still have Sonic and Knuckles for 2025-6 surgery, or is he good to go? Question mark. Love the podcast. Hey, Ben, thank you for all the kind words. My anticipation is he'll be good to go. He might have some sort of corrective surgery, but my guess is he'd be totally fine by OTAs and training camp. So I don't see them changing that formula anytime soon. Southwest, Gibbs would have had 6,000 yards as we passed the ball a lot and split carries. Just stop it. Gibbs is way more better than Barkley. He just has way more moves and faster. He does everything better. Just stop. Okay. If Max wants to come to a winning team, how flexible will he be on his salary? And as athletes age, that's a big tell there. Some people are intrinsically tied to those paychecks. Maybe they just spent their money or whatever. Some guys, they want that ring at all costs. That would be the question Max would have to answer. Detroit Lions bad guy. Fans, are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up for Crosby? I like the idea of a second and third. I don't like the idea of multiple first-round picks. And to be honest, I don't think you have to give up multiple first-round picks to get them. Could be wrong. Somebody else is willing to do it. Let them do it. When your enemies are making mistakes, don't interrupt them. Let's see, Keith, Hutch and Max on the ends, DJ and McNeil in the middle, best D-line in the NFL. I would agree with that. Along with the best O-line, Super Bowl bound, exclamation point, get it done, Brad. Woo! I'm down with all of the above. Manuel, guys need to stop dreaming. He's not coming. Okay, JDC, tick, tick, tick. Mo, not happening. He was just at Carroll's presser. This is redundant. AAF. Okay. Trump's give them Vildor for Max. We'll see if they take that. Don, Philly has proven you don't need big names on the D-line. You just have Jalen Carter and a few decent players. Okay. Decent others, excuse me. Emmanuel Pete Carroll is not letting him go, said so himself. All right. Unfortunately, Pete Carroll, I love the guy to death, but he's not the GM. Silver Server, Crosby is not heavy, but Crosby is strong. That is what matters. Okay, I'll go with that, Silver. That's not bad. Crosby has already had 6 surgeries, though. He has, and that's part of it. And that's kind of what I was referencing earlier, is he's getting to that age point where, diminishing returns if you're going to trade him start to pop up. JK, ain't no dummy going to want Vildor. Probably not, man. Terry, do you think we still do trick plays and offense next year? Probably. I just think, and I know I just mentioned it with Anthony. In my opinion, that's where MCDC really struggled. He probably watched that game in review and realized both coordinators were probably a little distracted, but we all get it by the interview processes and et cetera. I do think, I've rewatched that Washington game a few times. In my opinion, doesn't have to be your opinion, Ben Johnson is completely checked out of that game. You watch him on the sideline from the coaching films. You watch the situational awareness. To me, that's the big one there. Coaches, when you're heated, when you've got that blood flowing and churning, your body expressions and the calls you make are big tells, at least to me. Ben Johnson on a couple key plays, I think he hangs Jared Goff out to dry. You watch the combination of the routes plus the running back usage and the offensive line. I don't think it's a complete shock that Jared Goff has a bad game. The game his OC is not paying attention to the obvious formations the Washington Commanders are using. There's a whole lot of stuff Detroit does normally in games when you get in those type of fronts that shreds it, and he doesn't use it. I'm not saying he was trying to throw the game or anything like that. I'm just guessing probably the 2 or 3 days leading up to the game, when normally that's when you're doing all your on-field stuff, your video work and stuff, breaking things down. He's probably not doing much of that because he's interviewing people for offensive line coach, defensive coordinator, et cetera, et cetera. And it's no disrespect to him. He's got to take care of his own family, his own career and stuff. But in my opinion, and you guys can roast me for it or you can agree with it, I don't care. It's my opinion. I think Ben Johnson is probably the number one source or reason why we lost that game, in my opinion. Again, it's not a surprise to me rewatching that game a few times. Jared Goff has a bad game because of it. All right, Michael, Hutch needs to take a team-friendly deal and Goff needs to restructure. See if they do it. JK. All right. JDC Magic 8 Ball says defense wins the big one. I concur. Ryan would take Reddick over Barnes, who is a free agent this year. He is, man. He is indeed. Trump's 6 surgeries. Skip, no. Yes, he's had a few. I want to say he had a couple last year. That's why they shut him down towards the end of the year, too. Mo, Keith David, do you realize that Glasgow was bottom 10 in the league this season, right? Everyone took a massive step back on the O-line. I'm not sad to see Fraley leave. Okay? I think he's not leaving, though, Mo, just so you know. Right, Ant-Man, howdy, Brett with Grit, agreed. Bo, the Brett with Grit, good day, Ant-Man. Big Daz, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke crew. I may have finally gotten one of my calls right. Hey, you throw enough darts. That's my philosophy. Keep shooting, you'll hit one. Southwest, I wish we left Maxx Crosby talk alone quick as we get to the fact new OC got fired. His first time OC, at least that's something that matters. Our team, Max doesn't. He's not here, okay? Hire Goff for OC. I wonder if they do that. Special guest, he's here every week. He is. I still consider him a special guest. Hey, he's given up his time to be here to help entertain people. So give him his props and praise. Let's see, JDC, Lions King Kong. That's why he's special. Hey, there you go. Trump's, I agree. I wish we would have hired a proven offense coordinator. Yeah, I get it, man, but there's got to be a reason why MCDC wants the guy, right? We all trust him. It's one thing I don't get, man, is MCDC and Brad Holmes have done nothing but good stuff since we're hiring it. And yet, it seems like sometimes when they draft somebody, like I remember the night we traded and drafted Gibbs. I remember doing that live cast. People were throwing stones at MCDC, the Lions, saying they're all suckers. Now we all feel like, man, Gibbs is great. And same with, I want to say, when Ben Johnson was announced as the offense coordinator, I want to say a lot of people threw him under the bus. Not so much by the time he left here. It's just, we have so much faith in these guys, but when they make a hire we don't understand, we all want to go after him. Wait and see what the guy does. I mean, he could be trash. He could be great. We'll see. Let's see, Mr. Detroit City, Ant-Man. Michael, release Broderick. He is trash. I'm not thinking so, man. Because that was the same mantra for Ife Melifanu the first couple years, and then year 3 he broke out. And there's probably other guys I'm not considering, like Derek Barnes. Southwest Line, do you think Hank Fraley as a run game? Do you like Hank Fraley? Yes, I do. I would love to have someone like him coordinate the run game. Dale, he's no longer special. He is a permanent Lions fan guest, but he's special to you. I'm down with that. I'll take that. Bo, all guests are special on the Duke Crew. I like the way you're thinking. Michael, not sure why everyone is upset with Morton. Was a journeyman also when he was named OC. This is true. This is very true. Remember, he was, can't remember his name now, the defense coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. The first person he fired when he took over in Miami was Ben Johnson. Lions game, JDC, he's a regular. He is a regular. Daniel, 100% okay with the Maxx Crosby trade. We'll see if it happens, my friend. JDC, Dylan, I'll go with that. Southwest, Anthony, that's a pretty good analysis you've given. I just hope they get rid of shotgun empty. Yeah, me too, man. I was never a fan with that, at least with Jared Goff. That's the dumbest thing in the world, why your quarterback is not mobile. Correct, because he got fired from the offense coordinator job after one season. He did, man. He did. Ryan, hopefully Dan calls the plays. He might have a hand in it. Lions King Kong drops some names who should have been hired then, since people are questioning that choice. There you go. There you go. If you think there's somebody that would have been better, who is it and why? That's a good one, King Kong. Brett, I'm hoping to see more 2-back sets next season. I do wonder about that with the new hire. It once he finalizes the hire. Music, what are you guys giving for Maxx Crosby? The suggestion from the 33rd team is a 2nd and 3rd if it were to happen. But they're saying that for the Green Bay Packers acquiring him, not the Detroit Lions. Miles Bomber, Ant, I agree. Onius on MCDC. Parsons, I wonder if they can do that. Thank you for that, Michael. Bo, agreed. Southwest. King Kong, Johnny Morton is going to be just fine. Nobody knew Ben Johnson, but before we hired him. That is also very correct. Michael, or trade up and get Abdul Carter. I do like Carter. I just wonder how much it would cost to acquire him. All right, guys, only got about 3 minutes left, so let me power through here, get some people. Relax, trust the process. It'll be okay. Music, our window is small. You got to trade for Crosby, okay? Skip Parsons, he ain't a Lion. He hasn't spoken well about the Lions. Ryan, Morton is a dud. We'll find out. Central Scrutinizer, I'm confident that the front office has its ducks in a row. If Dan, Brad, and Chris like him, I'm good with that decision to OC. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Yeah, all we can do at this point, right? Up North Line, if you can get Crosby for 2nd, 3rd, and if he renegotiates, I think you make the trade. I'm down with that. Griner, Hooker, and a draft pick for Max. Hooker wants a better chance to play. Yeah, there's probably truth there. Dale, Morgan is the guy who actually turned Goff around in rags to riches. He was the one who helped Benedict Johnson his time. Okay. Brent, I'm not worried about Morton. If he's not producing MCDs, who remove him. Yeah, just like he did with Dale Lynn. Good call there. Nick, the hell with the window. The future, win one Super Bowl, and worry about the other stuff later. Shake your head. Okay. Bruce, if we bring Crosby to Detroit, there is one thing that would travel with him, and that is his mouth. He is small as 260 pounds. I am in favor of Garnett and Day over him. Yeah, I would like Garnett as well. Past history, says Ryan. Patrick, Mick Robinson, I would rather have him. Okay, yeah, and I know he played very well down the stretch here. Let's see, Keith, why are you coming if the special guest is going to take up all the time away from our home fans, Dan? Makes no sense. Don't like it. Let your fans talk and be heard. Yeah, thank you, Dan. Anytime, man. I do this all the time. You guys being heard right now, I would assume. JK, 6 surgeries, max equals wash. North line. MCDC said that Morton has a lot to do with developing the offense. I'll trust his decision. I'm down with that. Yeah. Detroit Lions bad guys, second next year, 2026, third in 25 for Maxx. Yeah, maybe that's what they do. Salas Amik is under contract for next year. He is indeed. Ryan, and his history will repeat itself. Maybe. Brett, I'd rather trade for Garnett over Maxx. Me too, man. I like his ability to do both the run and the pass a little bit better. I mean, you're splitting hairs, but I like them both. How about Kellen Moore for offensive coordinator? Now, hey, that'd be a Lions throwback there. Wouldn't it be, Trump? Central Screwslizer. O-line for sure. Okay. Lions, King Kong. Y'all just want an OC who is popular, it seems. Yeah, that's probably fairly typical. Frank the Tank. K. Ed, Mr. Ed, good morning. Duke Crew, we need to build through the draft. No projects, and don't forget the O-line needs help. I agree with all the above. Central Scrutinizer, we have Sorsdale. Remember, we do. I wonder if he's developed up a little bit. Dale, KZ, yes. DM5 TV, I'll give Goff this upcoming season. If he ends similar to last year, he's gone. If not, you're wasting Gibbs, St. Brown, and J-Mo's talent. All right, I'm down with that. JDC, as long as Dan Campbell has a Cheshire cat grin, then I do. Okay, Ryan, no, just one who is competent. Okay. Let's see, Don, I'm just scrolling these messages laughing. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. It's good to have a good laugh in the morning. Brian, I have to disagree with the UK guy. Defense wins championships. Been that way since day one. All right. JK, make Mahogany a starter, at least a rotation player. I'm guessing he will be a starter, but I don't know that. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. That boy Wink, okay, defense wins games point blank. I concur. DM5, and no more Jared Goff chance until at least he finishes the big game. Don't be so desperate. All right. Frank the Tank, here we go. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Go ahead and get defense, and then they'll never been hurt. I don't know what happens if he gets hurt. What are you going to say that Ant-Man? All right, we'll find out. Burns, we had one bad offensive game and gave up 45 points. Defense wins championships. Offense wins games. All right, I'll concur with both. Michael, Jets defense is stacked. Yes, it is. Iron Glenn should have some fun with it. If he doesn't produce there, that would be a question mark. And I'll say the last year, and I'll still say trade Hooker. Brad missed on this guy, and now his value has dropped. Get what you can and move on. All right. Miles Barger, thank you. Anthony Lions Roar UK, I concur. Bo, thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Okay. Keith, how do you send a message to another texter? I am new to this. You just put a at and then the person's name. Bo, pay the zebras. Hey, that never is a bad idea. Mr. Detroit City, shout out to Ant and Mike Kimber. Both good guys. Ant, okay. Mr. Detroit City, he put me on to Ant-Man. Okay, yes. Yeah, I think that's probably where I met him too. DM5, I learned that you need a mobile quarterback, not a statue. Thank you, Anthony, says Brent. Leonard, good morning, Coach Duku. Work on the trenches, both sides. Our quarterback needs a clean pocket to succeed. I agree with that. Also need to address a mobile quarterback and look at Daniels and Purdy with last year and this year's losses. Correct. I trust too much time with the guest. Okay. Miles Marker, also all caps, yelling Keith David. Okay. We'll do that. Paperback fan, really salutations, Duke Crew. Pay the refs, question mark. Maybe working for Chiefs. Could be just that. Maybe they got deeper bags. Southwest, he must don't know Philly got great wideouts. They do have some decent ones for sure. Shamir, Skip Ben Johnson, sorry for the language though. It happens, man. No worries at all. Humor, what a concept. Hey, sometimes you gotta laugh a little bit, don't you? JDC, what? Just kidding. Welcome, Miles Marker. You got it now, Keith. There you go, Keith. All right, Moonscar, Keith. You can directly message anyone. Only way is through episode comments. You can make a comment, then you can respond and make it and notify if you will respond. Okay? Keith, thank you all. No worries. We're here to help as always, my friend. 44 days left until free agency. I think we're all chomping at the bit for it. Detroit Lions bad guy. JD, way better than Barkley. Okay, let's see. Moonscar, you could give up any first for him. Yeah, I wouldn't give up any first for him either. Illinois MCG, Barkley is an MVP finalist. Gibbs, he is not. Correct. Up North Line, JDC agreed. Frank the Tank, all players in the NFL have had surgeries. Most have. Yes, correct. Well, that's what made me so upset. Everyone blames Goff. I blame Ben for horrible play calling. Yeah, when I watched the film the second and third time and really just trying to focus on that, that's where it jumped out to me. part of Goff's struggles, probably like any quarterback, and not just Goff, the OC has got to put him in favorable situations against different defenses. When you don't, you hang them out to dry, in my opinion. It's no different in volleyball, basketball, soccer. You played your players' strengths. And watching a lot of those play calls, I'm never going to see a coach intentionally tanks a game, but Ben Johnson, I'll say this, in my opinion, was nowhere around mentally or emotionally having that offense ready for that game. All right, Bo, Ben Johnson was calling plays off a crude card, not reading the defense of Washington. Yeah, I agree. It's almost like he was rolling the dice to say, yeah, we're going to run this despite what they're running. JDC, Thunder and Lightning. JK, agree with Dan. It's Ben Johnson's fault. He had cash on his mind. I agree with that. Vern, good morning, Coach and Dooku. Do you think we need a third wide receiver? Offense wasn't the problem. Defense was and took many injuries. Defense obviously needs to be worked on. I do wonder if they're going to try to address receiver, go for somebody a little bit younger. You could get away with just re-signing some current guys. There are a ton of receivers in the NFL this year. I won't be surprised if the Lions kind of repeat last year's process. Hey, we're going to have 2 or 3 signed and then kind of cherry pick the players that get cut from other teams. Ben tanked both the NFC Championship game and divisional round proofs of the pudding. Could be. Pat, I agree with you on Ben Johnson. His head wasn't in the game. Yeah, and again, probably could do an hour-long episode on just that, breaking down why I think that and stuff. But Ben Johnson, those play calls, especially in the, I'll say, the second half, when you came out of halftime, you could have made some adjustments. All right, Washington caught you off guard with this or that and the other thing. I really think the offense worked because of the talent we had. And I don't mean this. I'm never going to try to throw a coach under the bus. But when I watch that game tape, I think Ben Johnson just is nowhere to be found mentally in that game. And again, could probably do a long video on it. All right, couple more, then I got to get out of here. Already giving you some overtime. Great Lakes, I think we're focused to go outside, forced to go outside. Ben knows our offense too well in divisional opponent now. Correct. Bo, I like the observation. Great Lakes, correct. Earl, Lions are going to be okay. I like the way you're thinking. All right, Verbal Kent, just because I love the name, Morton was just handed the keys to the Bugatti. He was, man. Now, let's see what he can do with it. Dave in the D, if only they could trade Goff for Crosby and some picks. We'll see what they do. Keith, Dan, sorry, exclamation point. I would no longer be using capital letters. Don't worry about it, man. Use them, man. I have one friend, went to high school with, his name's Tony Jones. That's how he communicates to everybody all the time. Everything is all caps. It's just his thing. I don't think anything about it. Frank, Keith, don't be so soft. Let's see. JDC, Great Lakes, Michigan, thumbs up. I'll go. Apologies, Dan. No, you're totally fine, man. I didn't think anything about it. Central Scrutinizer, thanks, Coach. You feed is one of the best. Hey, no worries, man. I enjoy doing this. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. Steve, we have a solid core. I'd be patient and build to the draft. Too risky going any other way. Yeah, okay, I'm down with that. Keith, Frank, Tank, if only you knew. Vern, Z, Trump's product equals Super Bowl. Let's see, Michael JP, Las Vegas might do this with Hooker in the mix. That could be something. Yeah, 100% there. All right, Frank, Tank, come on, don't blame Detroit Lions loss to Washington on Ben Johnson. If you're going to say Ben Johnson, you have to say AG, turnovers, injuries, etc. is the reason we lost our rings. Yeah, probably a combination of all the above, Frank, Tank. All right, guys, if there's breaking news later today, I'll get over to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you would be so kind, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as you're checking on out. Take care. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. Be a good human being. We'll see you guys all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, all.
Excuse me, sir. Would you... Donations to Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism? Help Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?